We're back with Professor Susan Watson Turner, learning all about the theater department at Lehman College. And before we left, I left with a question, and that is, how do you pick the right actor for the right character once you're filling the positions to stage a play?
Well, casting is 90% of the job. If you cast it right, it goes right. If you cast it wrong, you got a lot of work ahead of you. So I spend a lot of time when I'm doing my analysis of the play, really envisioning the type of character or type of actor that I would want to portray this. This play was particularly interesting because a lot of the roles could go either way gender-wise.
How many people in it?
There's 7.
Okay.
So a lot of things could go. There was nothing specific that said this person had to be Caucasian, this one had to be Latino, this one had to be African American. So I had a lot of freedom in that sense. There was one particular, as I told you, the lead, who I was really interested in playing the character of Alexa Vere de Vere. And then I had to match a good person to play Weiler because they needed a chemistry between them. So there's a lot that goes into casting.
But are there auditions?
Oh, yes, yes.
So
everyone can
competition
audition.
for these parts.
Oh, yes, everyone can come and audition. This particular audition, I asked the actors to prepare monologues. So they had to come with something. Sometimes when you audition, you come in and you can read from the script. And then they had to come back, for the ones who were called back, they came back and did kind of an improvisational sort of callback. And I needed to see if they could really work as an ensemble together.
And once everything clicks, do you then do a few trial runs to see how it works on an audience, to see what kind of feedback you get?
We don't get that chance here.
Really?
I wish we did. It would be nice. If when I worked downtown, we did something called previews, which meant that we did the show sometimes 2, maybe 3 weeks before we actually opened it to the critics. We don't get that chance here. We get rehearsal and then performance.
And in fact, the performance is only for about a week, right?
Yeah.
From December 2nd to December
6th. Right,
okay.
right.
And one performance per day?
Well, we're doing a couple doubles. We're doing a special performance on December 3rd, Thursday at 11 a.m. for the Freshman Year Initiative Program, just to make sure that as freshmen come in, they understand what the theater is about. They get to experience the theater. We're only doing half the play, so if they want to see the rest, they have to come back. And then on December, Friday, is that the 4th, I think? We're doing a special presentation for high school guidance counselors in the Bronx that are coming in to see what we do here at Lehman. So
very
the theater
important, because then they'll be sending us more students.
Hopefully,
in the future,
yes,
right?
that's what we're looking for.
That's the idea. Okay, so there's something called Blind by Love.
Blinded by Love.
Blinded by Love. Okay, so that's a movie.
Yes.
That you wrote.
I didn't write it. I produced it.
Oh, okay.
I produced it. Yeah.
Tell me, I know this is Blinded by Love is probably your first or second love.
Yes, very much so. It's been a long labor of love, actually. And it's very timely. It's ironic, you say, why didn't this happen 3 years ago? Why didn't it? But it's so timely because it's really about young people and abuse. And in a relationship very much like Chris Brown and Rihanna, a young couple here in the Bronx. One is trying to be a dancer, and her boyfriend is also a student who's gradually in their relationship becoming more and more abusive. And the beauty of the film is that it shows how that can happen on such a very gradual basis. Nobody gets up one day and all of a sudden starts beating you up, It happens a little bit. One day he pushes you, one day he grabs you, and then, it turns into that. The play came about when I was still teaching at, the movie actually came about when I was still teaching at Bronx Community College. I said to one of my students, Evelyn Green, who is a writer, who wrote the piece, I said, listen, I would like to do something that really touches the kids in the Bronx,
And this movie is set in the Bronx.
Set in the Bronx.
Okay.
We shot it all around New York, but most of it is shot in the Bronx. There's some right here at Lehman College. And so, I say to a student, go write me a play. And sometimes you get one. So all summer, she was emailing me scenes, and I'm like, this girl's really serious. So we actually produced it there at Bronx Community College, and I had a young man who was in my speech and diction class from Vietnam, and he made a speech about how he was a film actor in Vietnam before he came here. And so I said, really? Well, come and see the places. Well, I can't be in it, but I'd like to come and shoot the photos. And he was a really great photographer and also is a great director. And he brought me lots of reels of what he had done in Vietnam. So we had a little bit of a language barrier there, because as he directed the actors, I kind of stood on the side to sort of translate, because after I listened to him a while, you sort of get to understand his English. But it was really, it was an amazing feat. It took us a year to shoot it on the weekends. You know, it was,
the movie's out already.
The movie is out. We had a screening of it last week. It's been entered into Sundance. We've made it through the first round of cuts.
That's great.
So it's going to Tribeca too. We're doing the film festival thing.
The film festival.
We're doing the film festival. So it was really good. And some of our Lehman students actually were involved in it.
Okay, so is this a movie that is going to be used to sort of like fix a situation, correct a problem, get people to think about this situation?
Well, I think to get them to think about it, but especially for women to understand that you don't have to stay down. The last scene that we see in that film is her becoming what she wants to become. And she's gone through a long journey of some very painful events, but she continues to get up and go. Like many of our students do, you know, and like many of us do, you know, you know, as my mother used to say, you know, from the poem, there's not a crystal stair for anybody.
You mentioned earlier that it could be a controversial subject in many ways.
Is. I mean, you notice there are people who believe in Chris Brown, the people who believe in Rihanna. Some people say he beat her up, she beat him up.
But it's also very prevalent here in the Bronx. Yeah. It's a problem definitely in the Hispanic community. Yeah. I mean, I have done, as a journalist, I've done stories on this problem, how prevalent it is, at least among us Latinos. In fact, I remember, I'll tell you a story about another movie that I went to see once called Dolores. It had double meaning. Dolores, of course, means pain in English, and Dolores was the name of this woman who was this film that I saw that was abused by her husband. A community organization held an event where they showed this movie to all of these Hispanic women. Okay, at the end, it was a great movie, very impressive. At the very end, they introduced the actors. The guy who played the role of the beater, of the abuser, gets up and
they booed him.
No, they nearly had a riot there. They had to take this guy out of the room because he had played the role so well that in real life people thought, hey, this guy is really mean.
Well, that happened at the screening. The father of the young man.
Is that going to happen to you?
Well, that happened at the screening. The father, who the playwright is very careful. She shows that the line between the father and the son is really, he's watched his father abuse his mother, and that line, and the actor who played that role of the father was there, and they had that reaction to him because he played it so well. He said, we hate you, you're terrible. But I hope it will change the minds of some, but more so that it will show people that, you know, there's some alternatives to just staying down in a bad situation.
We're out of time, but I want you to come back because one thing that you mentioned in the answer to one of my questions was how you, for this particular play, you didn't need a particular Hispanic or maybe a black person, and the roles didn't require that. But I do want you to come back soon so that we can talk about the roles that are unavailable very often for blacks and Latinos in the industry, and that's a whole new subject.
Conversation.
That's right.
I'll be happy to.
We'll be right back with more of the Bronx Journal.